Hello and welcome everybody to another StarCraft 2 cast by Glitch. Today I'm bringing to you a TVZ on Antiga Shipyard. Spawning here in the 4 o'clock position we have STVirus. Spawning here in the 2 o'clock position we have NosLoki. As you can see, both of these players are both Korean players, so I'm expecting a pretty good game out of them. This is just a show match that they played over Battle.net. Now, Antiga Shipyards is one of the new maps from the Season 3 map pool, and one of the big defining characteristics of this map is the choice of thirds that the player chooses to take on this map, because there is, from your natural, there is a third that is up here on a high ground. It's a little bit far away, but it's a little bit easier to defend. There are some destructible rocks here that can make it easier for your opponent to get to, but this third is a little easier to defend than this gold, or at least it can be. This gold is wide open, but depending on the spawning positions, it can be a very good choice for a third. This high ground here can make it very, very difficult against Terran players to defend the gold expansions on this map, but if you spawn in, say, these positions here, for example, STVirus here can take this expansion here and defend it fairly easily because it's about equidistant from NosLoki's base as this base is, and it actually will be a little bit farther if he does manage to take down these destructible rocks. Jumping into the game here, looks like NosLoki has managed to go for a fast expansion. Hasn't quite thrown down his pool yet, but his expansion is down. In the base of Virus, looks like so far he has gone for a pretty early gas, and he's thrown down a barracks. This indicates to me that he's probably going to be getting a fairly quick factory. Yes, indeed, he is now getting a marine out of his barracks, so it looks like he'll probably be throwing down a factory here as soon as he can save up that 100 gas. Orbital command also coming down. In the base of Loki, we now have spawning pool coming up and a gas coming up as well. So it looks like so far I expect to see some lings here coming out pretty soon to go scout. I don't think Loki, well, he does manage to get a gas steal here on Virus, so it looks like this is going to deny some options here for Virus. This means fast Banshees are going to be out of the question, but I don't think that is what he was going for anyway, as yes, he's throwing down that factory. Usually a Terran player, if he is going for those quick Banshees, he will have already by now grabbed that gas. That was kind of a late scout there from Loki, so this is just going to deny any kind of future heavy tech builds. Slow down his upgrades a little bit and maybe slow down his blue flame if he does try to go that path on those factories, which is becoming a very, very common thing for those Terran players now. If you watched any of the MLG matches over this past weekend, those Terran players just dominated. The Terran players did absolutely amazing. Of the top 6 players at MLG, 5 were Terran players and all 6 were Korean. So those Koreans, and especially those Korean Terrans, are just dominating right now with very heavy use of Blue Flame Hellions. We saw from all of the Slayers players a build that I guess Boxer had devised and taught to his entire team, where the Terran players would just get very fast Blue Flame Hellions and were able to do lots of damage both against other Terran players and against those Zerg players. A couple of Scout Zerglings are now out on the field for Loki. Looks like he is focusing mostly on droning right now. One spine going up in the front of his base, but for the most part he is focusing on getting those drones out. Very critical for those Zergs to always get as many drones out as possible. Looks like Virus is going to be gearing up here to take his expansion, as he is placing all these Marines here at the choke to his natural. He hasn't yet thrown down a command center, but I wouldn't be surprised to see one come fairly soon, since it looks like he is moving out with these Hellions. Looks like he's going to try to keep Loki contained to his base for just a little while, probably going to see an expansion while he does that. We do have a starport coming up now with a tech lab, so we might actually be seeing some kind of a swap here. He actually is going to be going for that Banshee. This is kind of a surprising move, considering he never took that second gas. He's not quite getting the gas that he would need to support a quick Banshee with Cloak, so this is a little bit slower of a Banshee. But in the meantime, he is pushing out with this Hellion and this small group of Marines, so it looks like he's going to try to be a little bit aggressive and try to do some early damage here. An evolution chamber now going up for Loki. Loki doesn't have much in the way of army units right now. In the way of army units, all he's got is 6 Zerglings and 3 Queens on the field. He is producing some more Zerglings, but he's got a lot of idle larvae here, and he really should be using that money on Zerglings. And there we go, 16 Zerglings, 18 Zerglings now in the production tab as all these units now move in. The 4 Zerglings are coming from the back. They just got their Zergling speed, and it looks like they are going to be able to clean this up with the help of these 2 Queens here. So very nice defense there by Loki. In the meantime, as I thought, that command center is starting to go up for STVirus, and so it looks like he's going to be taking his expansion. He needs to be very careful, though, of any counterattacks. He forced a lot of Zerglings here from Loki, so now Loki, as long as he has these Zerglings, he's going to feel like he really needs to make use of those Zerglings, and this means that he's going to be pushing back, so STVirus is really going to need to get up some quick defenses. He does have these 2 Hellions here, but he really needs to raise these supply depots here if he's going to deny these Zerglings from doing any kind of damage. The Banshee is now in the base, but it is being repelled by these Queens, with the 3 Queens currently in the base of Loki. Loki did throw down some Spore Crawlers, was expecting some Queens, so very nicely timed their Spore Crawlers from Loki. Looks like all these Zerglings here are going to poke up the ramp, see all the tech. Looks like he did manage to see most of the tech here. Looks like he did manage to see the barracks going down. Didn't see the starport or the command center. And looks like this Banshee's just out here just trying to get a few kills out. It only has 4 kills right now. Looks like it might have gotten a drone kill or 2. But not going to be able to do too much damage here with all these Queens on the field as well as these Spore Crawlers. No cloak on these Banshees, no cloak coming up for these Banshees yet either. So it looks like he's planning to just be aggressive and keep Loki pinned back to his base as much as he can with that early attack and now with this Banshee. But without Cloak, I don't think that Banshee's going to be able to do too terribly much damage. Looks like we do have a drop here. Medevac loaded up with 4 Hellions now moving around the map. But, oh my goodness, this is such a well-placed Overlord here for Loki. Looks like he is going to be able to scout that Medevac, and that Medevac, if he is watching his minimap, does get sighted. Looks like not seeing any kind of a reaction yet, so hopefully Loki saw that drop and he will be placing his Zerglings appropriately as well as his Queens to take out that Medevac. And here comes that Medevac now with those 4 Hellions. I don't believe that they have Blue Flame quite yet, but Loki does see this and immediately moves his Zerglings into position, so nice little catch there by Loki. But it looks like Virus is going to be dropping his Hellions anyway, try to see if he can do any damage. But that Queen is doing a lot of damage to that Medevac, and it is going to force him to pull back. These Zerglings now just hanging out in the base, checking just in case those Hellions are going to be dropped. This Hellion, I don't know if Loki has scouted this expansion yet. Can he see? Yes, he did manage to scout this expansion. He must have sent that Overlord in to see that expansion. So he does know that he has expanded, and he is taking his 3rd. And notice that he is taking his 3rd at this high ground. This is, I think, a wise choice for Loki, as I was saying before. He scouted, he saw that this factory did have this attached tech lab, so he knows that Virus is going to be going for those siege tanks, and so he's going to know that he's going to be able to plant these siege tanks up here, and it'll be very, very hard to hold this expansion against Terran players, just because those siege tanks on the high grounds can just be devastating to that gold. Taking this 3rd, this is kind of a hard a base to attack for Virus, so Virus is going to have a lot of trouble having to swing either here directly into the path of the natural, where he'll have to come out onto creep, or he'll have to come all the way around this back side. So it's not going to be an easy expansion to take. Looks like Virus is going to be moving out with his first 2 siege tanks. They do have siege mode. A couple of Medevacs here, a lot of Marines here, and oh man, Loki's going to have to be really careful with these Mutas, because these Mutas are going to be able to take a lot of damage from these Marines. Very nice little stim there by Virus, being careful not to stim too many of his Marines. Grabbed a small chunk of his Marines from the front, stimmed them forward just to see what was going on and to get a few Marines there ahead of his army. Very nice spread here also by Virus. A few Banelings here now coming in. These Banelings do have speed. Some Lings are in place. This is going to be a lot of force. This is all going to come down to control here. If Loki controls this well, that this force will be able to completely dominate this small force of Marines and siege tanks, and that siege tank is currently not sieged up, and all the forces of Loki moving in with a very nicely timed move in there. Looks like he is just going to clean up that attack pretty well, so nice timing attack there by Loki, able to defeat that little push. All the reinforcements from Virus are now being forced to pull back. Looks like Virus is now going to be throwing up some turrets in his base just to defend against those mutas, prevent any kind of counter-aggression there from Loki. And looks like Loki has managed to get his third up. He is now getting up some drones there. Looks like he's going to be trying to saturate that third as quickly as possible. In the meantime, he is going to be trying to do some damage with these mutas. He's poking into the base of Virus right now, but all these Marines are moving up now and going to deny too much more damage there from those mutas. Looks like on the production tab we do have a +1 attack upgrade there coming up for Virus, so it looks like he's going to be sticking with those Marines for a little while as he is trying to be able to do some more damage. A smart choice considering the unit choice of Loki. With all those mutas on the field, he's going to need to be able to do as much damage as he can, and all that damage is going to come from those Marines, so a good choice there getting that attack upgrade. Now getting also that +1 armor upgrade. I don't know which is generally the better upgrade for Terrans to get. I know that the armor upgrade can be a very good choice because Mutalisks have those glaive worms that bounce. If you've never noticed that before, the Mutalisks do have an attack that bounces to nearby targets and slowly deals successively less and less damage to each unit it bounces to. But by having those armor upgrades, it drastically decreases the amount of damage that those glaive worms do, so it really kind of diminishes the damage of those Mutalisks. These Mutalisks now moving around the side of the map. Looks like they're going to try to poke in here once again, try to do any damage, try to get a good feel for what Virus is doing. And in the meantime, it looks like Loki's going to be throwing up a secret expansion all the way in that back corner. This is going to be a very difficult expansion for Virus to hold. So, you guys, this is actually going to be a little bit longer of a replay, so I am going to have to split this here into 2 parts, so it looks like we're going to have to see the exciting conclusion to Loki versus STVirus in just a moment.